Okay. Good evening to all. Welcome you all for the daily current affairs session brought to you by Ganesh IAS Academy for the date 1st August 2023 for the news which came in Indian Express newspaper. Okay, let's get straight into the today's current affair discussion. Okay. Fiscal deficit has touched 25.3% of the target at the end of the June. So let's look into the content of the news. Centre's fiscal deficit target has touched the 25.3% of the full year target. Right now till the end of June. And government has projected to bring down the fiscal deficit to 5.9% of GDP for the ongoing financial year 2023-24, and the GDP, the deficit, that is the fiscal deficit for 22-23 period was 6.4%. So this is what the content of the news is about. Since the news revolves around fiscal deficit, we should know about what does this fiscal deficit is about. Fiscal deficit is generally, in simple word, it is the borrowing requirement for the government for spending on the economy. And in technical terms, fiscal deficit is the difference between government's total expenditure and total revenue, excluding the borrowings. And the gross fiscal deficit is the excess of total expenditure, which includes loans net of recovery over revenue receipts, including external grants and non-debt capital receipts. This is what the gross fiscal deficit is about. And in the case of net fiscal deficit, it is the gross fiscal deficit minus the lending given by the lending provided by the central government. So this is what the technical details of the fiscal deficit is about. And in the case of normal, for a common man parlance, it is the borrowing requirement by for the government to spend in the economy for its policies as well as schemes. In case of higher fiscal deficit, what kind of impact does it create in the economy is, it can lead to higher level of inflation, devaluation of currency, and in sometimes increase in the debt burden over the period of time. So these are all the negative consequences when the fiscal deficit of a country has increased over a particular period of time. So let's discuss about, since we are discussing fiscal deficit, let's discuss about Fiscal Responsibility and Budget Management Act 2003, which was implemented or brought into force to correct the imbalance in terms of higher revenue deficit as well as higher fiscal deficit that was prevailing in the country during that time. So the central government, what the act has mentioned is, the central government needed to take appropriate measures to reduce the fiscal deficit as well as revenue deficit, so as to eliminate the revenue deficit by the March 31st, 2008. And the rules that is made under the act needed to specify the annual targets which the government must achieve according to the target specified by the rules. And Revenue deficit and fiscal deficit may sometimes exceed the targeted, may sometimes exceed the target specified in the rules only on the grounds of national security or national calamity or exceptional ground sometimes mentioned by the central government. And central government shall not borrow from RBI except by way of advance to meet its temporary excess of cash disbursement over cash receipts. And RBI should not subscribe to primary issues of the central government securities from the year 2006 to 7, from the year 2006-7 onwards. And the central government should take measures to ensure transparency in its fiscal operation. And then the central government has to lay in each financial year before both houses of the parliament three statements along with the budget. What is the three statements? First is macroeconomic framework. It contains assessment regarding GDP growth rate and fiscal balance of central government and external sector balance of the country. Second statement is fiscal policy strategy statement. The statement explains how the current policy are in conformity with the sound fiscal management principle and gives the rationale for any major deviation in the key fiscal measures. That is, in order to explain the conformity of the policy with the sound fiscal management, and if there is any kind of deviation means the government needed to provide the explanation. And midterm fiscal policy statement. It sets out 3-year rolling targets, 3-year rolling target for 4 specific indicators. First is revenue deficit, second is fiscal deficit, third is tax to GDP ratio, fourth is total outstanding debt at the end of the year. So these are all the 3 statements which the government should submit before both house of the parliament along with the budget, which has been mentioned under the FRBM Act 2003. And this is what the news and the details about the news is about. So what we should needed to study further so that we could able to have some clear idea about the peripheral areas of the news is, we should also know about what are all the other types of deficit in an economy. Second is, we should know about what are all the important recommendations being given by the 15th Financial Commission and what are the criteria based on which the revenue should be distributed among states. These kind of details we should be aware of. Third is, we should know about inflation, exchange rate, balance of payment. Why we should learn about this is because of the higher fiscal deficit, there will be some negative impact in the economy, like inflation, exchange rate, devaluation of currency, as well as balance of payment crisis. So we should know each of them. Fourth is, we should know about what is public debt, what constitutes public debt, and what is the situation of public debt in India. So these are all the things which we needed to know apart from the details of the news. And also, we should also know about what the constitution mentions about the borrowing by the state. So these are all the other things which we should know. Another important news which came today is the Paharis as well as Paddaris are going to be included in the scheduled tribe status in Jammu Kashmir. The bill has been right now introduced in the current ongoing session in the parliament. Along with Padari as well as Pahari tribes, Koli and Gada Brahmin are going to be included in the scheduled tribes list from Jammu Kashmir. And in 1991, the dominant two scheduled two communities named Gujars as well as Bakarwals, along with some minor communities like Gadis and Sipis were added to scheduled tribe categories from Jammu Kashmir. This Gujars as well as Bakarwals were the third largest communities after Kashmir and Dogras in Jammu Kashmir. Right now, these Gujars and Bakarwals were agitating against the introduction of introduction of bill for including these communities into scheduled tribe status, because if those communities are going to get introduced in the scheduled tribe list, means they will also be having a share in the reservation status. So if they are going to come under the bracket of reservation or quotas, means they will be losing their places. This is what the view of Gujars as well as Bakarwal, so that why they are now agitating in the Jammu Kashmir Union Territory. So let's know about the Pahari ethnic group. Who are the Paharis ethnic groups? They are in the ethnic groups. The Pahari ethnic group peoples are from across the religion, like Hindus, Muslim, Sikh, and also those who are migrated from Pakistan, and those who belong to Kashmir, and who has their Kashmir as their origin. And in 1989, Jammu Kashmir government led by Farooq Abdullah recommended that Paharis should be included in the list of scheduled tribes along with Gujars, Bakarwals, Gadis and Sippis. But the recommendation was rejected by Registrar General of India, saying that the Pahari ethnic group name is not in the roll. What they have said, that there is no community called Pahari, and they could not be included in the scheduled tribe categories. So this is what they have said. But during 2012 and 13 period, Jammu Kashmir government commissioned a study by Professor Amin Pirzada of Kashmir University. What the commission has suggested, that there is sufficient evidence is there to include this Pahari community into scheduled tribe. So they recommended of including the Pahari ethnic group into scheduled tribe categories. The Paharis got, after that, 4% reservation in jobs as well as educational institution in 2019 in Jammu Kashmir Union Territory. Justice G.D. Sharma Commission was appointed to identify the groups that were socially, educationally and economically backward in the Jammu Kashmir Union Territory. It recommended that ST status should be given for Gada Brahmin, Kolis, Padari as well as Paharis. And based upon the recommendation of G.D. Sharma Commission, the recommendation has been sent to Ministry of Tribal Affairs as well as Registrar General of India, and it was approved by them in 2002. As a result of which, a bill has been introduced in the Parliament to include this community into scheduled tribe list. This is what the history as well as the features of the ethnic group is about. Second is Padari tribes. Padari homeland borders Zanskar in the north and east, Pangi in Himachal Pradesh in the south, and the rest of the Jammu and Kashmir in the west. Padari population comprises of peoples belonging across religion like Hindus, Buddhists and Muslims. They speak Padari language, and this is the Important significance of Padari tribes. One minute. Okay, let's discuss about what is the procedures being involved in inclusion as well as removal of certain communities from SCs as well as ST list category. The process will be beginning at the corresponding state or union territories itself, with the concerned state government recommending a particular community to get included or excluded from the SC or ST list. A state government may choose to recommend certain communities based upon the recommendation given by certain commissions or study groups which have been appointed by the state governments itself. Based upon their recommendation, they will be sending their opinion to the central government to include or exclude that specific certain community to get included or excluded from the SCs as well as ST list. The proposal to include or remove any community from scheduled list is sent to, after being approved by the state government, it is sent to Union Ministry of Tribal Affairs, and after this the Ministry of Tribal Affairs through its own deliberation examines the proposal and sends its recommendation to Registrar General of India. Once approved by Registrar General of India, then the approval will be sent to National Commission for Scheduled Caste or National Commission for Scheduled Tribe in the case of scheduled tribes. After it is also been approved by National Commission for Scheduled Caste or the National Commission for Scheduled Tribe, then it will be sent to Union Government, which after some interministerial deliberation, they will be introducing it in the cabinet for the final approval. After the cabinet gives the approval, then a bill will be introduced in the parliament, which after being passed by the Lok Sabha as well as Rajya Sabha needed to be signed by president according to the powers mentioned in the article 341 as well as 342. So these are all the things, important details of the news. What we should know about the other areas of the news is, first is we should know about what is the article 341 and 342 means and what provision does it holds, we should know. Second is we should know about the National Commission for Scheduled Caste as well as Scheduled Tribe, its origin, its constitutionality status, and its structure, functioning, and its current position in the country. Third is we should know about the geography of Jammu Kashmir. Geography, as I said, does not only mean land, it means soil, the vegetation which it supports, and the flora and fauna which the vegetation supports, and the tribal community which depends upon those soil, vegetation as well as flora and fauna, and the economic activity done by the particular corresponding tribal. And then if there is any kind of national parks, wildlife sanctuaries are there, means we should know about them also. So these are all the, and also the rivers, lake or wetland, these are all the things which we should know while we are studying geography of Jammu and Kashmir. And also we should know about the Ministry of tribal affairs. Why it was created? What are the schemes it is right now implementing to promote the interest of tribal people, and what are all the levels of implementation it is. எந்தெந்த levelsல அந்த schemes programs policy ஓட implementation இருக்குன்றத we have to know. ISRO rocket debris in Australia, rules governing the space junk. So this is the news is, the content of the news is ISRO's PSLV fell into Australia's nearby ocean and it swept to the shores of Australian border. What the ISRO has said is the PSLV might have escaped the friction being provided by the atmosphere while it is re-entering into the atmosphere. It must have escaped the friction so that only it fell into the ocean. Otherwise, it would have burned in the atmosphere itself, and only the ash would have been fell into the ocean. This is what the response being given by the ISRO. Right now, the decision they have Australian Space Agency has communicated to ISRO. That is what has happened, and ISRO has given its opinion about the why the PSLV has fell from the outer space. How it is fell into the ocean without burning itself while entering into the atmosphere by escaping the friction provided by the atmosphere. Second is the space debris are regulated by outer space treaty and conventions like international liability for damage by space object. So let's know about what is this space debris is about. Space debris consist of rocket bodies that are used to launch satellites, defunct satellites, material released during mission operation, and fragments from an on-orbit breakup of space object and fragments from anti-satellite test. These space objects move with an average speed of 27,000 km per hour in the lower Earth orbit. As a result of which, if there is any small, even a small collision, 1 centimeter size of collision will lead to massive disaster in the outer space because of the kind of speed it is traveling in the lower Earth orbit. Third is currently the larger orbit, that is larger orbit means larger objects means the object which has size more than 10 centimeter are being monitored by the network of the outer space debris monitoring surveillance network. But those objects whose size is below than the 10 centimeter is also having the equal amount of potential in damaging the satellite or outer space as the bigger object has. This needed to be, the smaller object should also be needed to considered by these surveilling networks, those who are doing the monitoring the outer space debris. And right now the US Space Command currently tracks some 25,000 space objects using the space surveillance tracking network and catalogs which has been provided by many countries and many states and many private agencies. These surveillance are not done by only one authority or agency. It is being done by many states, many private agencies, and many individuals also are involved in tracking the network as well as the catalogs. And so let's discuss about what is the outer space treaty is about. Outer space treaty was considered by legal subcommittee in 1966, an agreement was reached by the United Nations General Assembly in the same year itself. The Outer Space Treaty provided the basic framework on international space law, including the following principles. The exploration and use of outer space shall be carried out for the benefit and in the interest of all countries and shall be the province of all mankind. There won't be any kind of border in the outer space, and outer space shall be free for exploration and use by all the states. Outer space is not subject to national appropriation, that is claiming any type of sovereignty on the top of the particular land in which the country is present. By means of use or occupation or any other means, we could not able to claim our sovereignty in the outer space. The state shall not place nuclear weapons or other weapons of mass destruction in the orbit or celestial bodies or station in the outer space. The moon and other celestial bodies shall be used exclusively for the peaceful purpose, not for any kind of military purpose. And astronauts shall be regarded as the envoys of mankind. They should not be regarded as the envoys of a particular country. They should be regarded as envoys for the whole mankind. State shall be responsible for national space activities, whether carried out by government or non-governmental entities. State shall also be liable for damages being caused by the space object. So this provision right now act as the will enable to solve the disputes whenever there is a dispute between the two countries about in relation to the falling of the space object in particular in other countries' land and the other countries' land. The device. Okay, so and then the state shall also avoid harmful contaminant of space as well as celestial bodies. So these are all the important provisions of Outer Space Treaty, which was signed and came into force during 1966 by United Nations General Assembly. About commitment on peaceful use of outer space. About Committee on Peaceful Use of Outer Space. It was set up in 1959 by United Nations General Assembly to govern the exploration and use of space for the benefit of all humanity, for peace, security as well as development. It is tasked with reviving international cooperation in peaceful use of outer space and studying space related activities that could be undertaken by United Nations, encouraging space research program, studying legal problems arising from exploration of outer space. International cooperation in space exploration and the use of space technology application to meet global development are discussed in the committee every year. That is, they wanted to promote international cooperation in safe use of outer space, apart from and prohibiting the use of the outer space for military purpose. And the committee has two subsidiary bodies. They are the Scientific Technical Committee and the Legal Subcommittee. These are the two subcommittees which works under the Committee on Peaceful Uses of Outer Space. What are the other treaties that governs the outer space apart from Outer Space Treaty, which was signed and came into force during 1966 by United Nations General Assembly, is the Rescue Agreement. The Rescue Agreement, which is the agreement to rescue the astronauts and the return of astronauts and the return of objects launched into outer space, adopted by the General Assembly and entered into force during 1968. The Liability Convention. This convention right now regulates if there is any dispute between two countries. That is, in the case of take this news as an example, where the ISRO's device has fell into the land of Australia. So the disputes arises means this convention will be acting as the regulating convention for the dispute. It acts as the liability convention is it makes a country or individual or agency liable for the damage being caused by the space object, and it is adopted by the General Assembly and it entered into force 1972. Third is the Registration Convention. Registration of objects that launched into outer space. That objects needed to be registered, and it was adopted by General Assembly and it entered into force during 1975. And the Moon Agreement. From the name itself, we could able to know that using the moon for peaceful purpose rather than using it for military purpose. Not only moon, for also all other celestial bodies. It was adopted by General Assembly and entered into force during 1984. And there are another 5 declarations as well as legal principles related to outer space. These are the Declaration on Legal Principle governing the activities of states in the exploration and uses of outer space. They entered into force during 1963. Second is Broadcasting Principle. It governs the use by state of artificial earth satellite for international direct television broadcasting. It entered into force during 1986. Third is the Nuclear Power Source Principle. The principle is relevant to use the nuclear power source in the outer space. Entered into force in 1992. The Benefit Declaration. The Declaration on International Cooperation in the Exploration and Use of Outer Space for the benefit and in the interest of all states, taking into particular account the needs of developing country. And it entered into force during 1996. That is, using the outer space for the peaceful purpose with developing countries' need should be kept in the mind when we are exploring the outer space for the peaceful purpose. What we needed to study further is we should know about what is orbit and what are all the different types of orbit that is present in the outer space. Second is what are all the launch vehicles of ISRO, and about accessing space treaty resource online. Fourth is we should know about United Nations Office for Outer Space Affairs. So these are all the other peripheral areas which we needed to know apart from the space debris and the outer space treaty and the other important convention as well as principle which we have seen in the previous slide. Center allows relief to sugar cooperative over excess cane payments made to farmers. Finance Ministry has notified rules enabling the cooperative sugar mill to claim past cane payment made to the farmers in excess of the government's statutory minimum price. Why the government has made a certain that kind of rule is because of the extra price being paid by the cooperative sugar mills. There is increasing tax litigation because what the tax authority are saying that you are giving excess amount of money to the farmers only because that you have earned profit. But what the sugar mills are saying is that we don't earn any kind of profit. We are providing extra amount of money for the business expenditure. So the government has made a notification that the sugar mills could able to recover or recollect the additional amount of money which they have given to the farmers above than the statutory minimum price which the central government sets for the sugarcane. So let's discuss about the sugarcane pricing in India. The fair and remunerative pricing are recommended by Commission for Agriculture Cost and Prices. It is the recommendatory body. It recommends the fair and remunerative price that should be given by the sugar mills to the farmers, and the final authority rests upon the Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs, which is headed by the Prime Minister of India. This Cabinet Committee only will be deciding the prices which is recommended by the Commission for Agriculture Cost and Prices. The FRP is based on the Rangarajan Committee, which was formed to reorganize the sugarcane industry. And apart from the fair and remunerative price, the states will also be providing the support price named state advisory price, and it will be most of the time will be over and above than the fair and remunerative price which is being set by the center. And the fair and both of the price are the minimum price which needed to be paid by the sugar mills to the farmers for the sugarcane which they are purchasing from the farmers. And the minimum selling price which is being introduced recently are the assured price for the sugar mills for converting the sugarcane into the sugars. Why they are providing the minimum price for the sugar mills is that it enables them to clear the due amount of cane, which was cane means sugarcane, which was procured from the farms. So let's discuss about what does the sugarcane, what characteristics of sugarcane. Let's discuss about the characteristics of sugarcane. The temperature required to grow a sugarcane is 21 to 27 degrees Celsius with hot as well as humid climate, and the rainfall that needed is 75 to 100 centimeter, and the soil which is required to required for the healthy growth of sugarcane is deep, rich, loamy soil. And currently Maharashtra, then Uttar Pradesh and Karnataka are the top 3 sugarcane producing states right now in India, and it is the main source of sugar as well as jaggery, as well as kanzari, as well as molasses. So this is the characteristic features of sugarcane. So what we needed to study further is we should know about the scheme for extending financial assistance to sugar undertaking to promote sugarcane cultivation in India. A scheme to promote. Second is we should also know about national policy on biofuel, which is also a policy to promote biofuel in India, as a result of which it is indirectly promoting the sugarcane cultivation in India. So these 2 schemes which we should be aware of. Third is we should also know about, as usually, what is minimum support price and what are all the important products covered under the minimum support price, and you should also know about the PDS system in India. What the data hides and tells for better policy making. It is the editorial where the author has said that sometimes the economic data which is produced by certain agencies or governments have been extrapolated, as a result of which there is a false belief being carried away. For example, the purchasing manage index, what the author has said is, it showed that The manufacturing index has averaged 55 out of 100. 55 is the good score in terms of growth according to the PMI index. But actually, the manufacturing sector in India grew at 1.3% of the GDP in the same year, which the manufacturing average was shown as 55 in the PMI index. And if you are drilling deep into the PMI index, means their sample size is very less, and they are not considering the entire chain of the economy, manufacturing activities that is taking place in India, as well as entire chain of service activities that is taking place in India. So they are, since the sample space is very less, most of the times their values are not reflecting the ground level situation. As if we are depending on this index for whole input for our wholly for our input for our policy needs, means there are chances that it may lead to ineffective policy making. Second is, the National Statistics Office also compiles data about the economy, but the author has said that there are some critics related to National Statistics Office data. What it is it excludes most of the unorganized sector in the economy while conducting or compiling the data. Since the unorganized sector in the economy are the major producers of the products or the output in the Indian economy, so without considering their output or product, we could not able to arrive at the accurate data related to the economy. So this kind of flaws also been present in the National Statistics Office. Similarly, the GST data being released by the government has shown that the GST revenues have been increased. So as a fallout of the GST revenue increase, we could what most of them are saying is that our consumption are begun to revamp, or consumption are begun to get increased after the pandemic. But on the other hand, what the majority of the corporate data results are showing is that the production are decreasing and the products are not getting sold out. So this is the contradictory. No, what the author is saying that since the revenue collection, yes, it is increased, but there is another factor which could have pumped up the or not to say extrapolated the data, extrapolated the GST's collection rate is because what that factor is the inflation. Right now, the inflation across the world as well as in the domestic arena is very high. As a result of which, the prices of the products will also be very high, and the correspondingly the GST, the tax rate on the particular prices will also be the tax revenue which is collected from the inflated price of the product in an economy will also be very high. Second is, so if we are assuming that because of the increased revenue from the tax collection, there is increase in the consumption, means there are some chances that we may be having the false assumption, because we don't dig deep into the data which has been produced in the revenue details. It might be because of inflation, as I said. It might be because of another factor like increased compliance from the taxpayers. So if the taxpayers, those who have already been paying the tax, have increased their compliance by paying the tax regularly without any avoidance as well as delay, means during that time also the tax will get in tax collection will get increased, but that's during the increased compliance, the tax revenue will be increased. But if it will lead to the increase in the production, means it is the question mark only. So if you are seeing or using a particular data as the input for the policy making means that data needed to be drilled one step deeper and analyzed so that entire viewpoints, entire perspectives should get caught up while we are making policy. So this is what the suggestion being given by the author. So let's discuss about the purchasing manager index. It is the survey based measure that asks the respondent about the changes in their perception. Respondent means the companies. If the manufacturing, if the index has been calculated for manufacturing sector, means the manufacturers. If it has been calculated for service industry, means then the service sector organization hits. And the respondents, it will make a survey or inquiry about the respondents' perception about the business variables or indicators which the PMI is showing to them compared with the previous month. And based upon the response being given by the respondents about the variables or the criteria used by the PMI for calculating its PMI index, they will be arriving at a certain value. And that value ranges from 0 to 100. If a point with a value that is arrived from the questions being asked related to the indicators is above 50 means, then it means expansion in the corresponding sector. Or if it is below than 50 means, then it denotes a contraction in the corresponding sector. And if the reading is is 50 means, then there is no expansion as well as contraction that is taking place in the corresponding sector. If PMI of the previous month is higher than the PMI of the current month means, it represents the economy is contracting. So these are all the criteria, data being calculated and arrived at by the PMI about the economy, and it is being compiled by IHS Markit for more than 40 economies worldwide. So let's discuss about another function, another important office which is mentioned in the news is National Statistics Office, NSO, and its function. It acts as nodal agency for planned development of statistical system in India. It lays down and maintains norms and standards in the field of statistics involving concepts and definitions, methodology of data collection, processing and dissemination of results. It coordinates statistical work in respect of departments, ministries of the Government of India as well as the states statistical bureaus. It advises ministries or departments of Government of India on statistical methodologies, on statistical analysis of data. And it prepares national accounts as well as publishes annual estimate on national product, government and private consumption expenditure, capital formation, savings, estimates of capital stocks, consumption of fixed capitals. And also it prepares state level gross capital formation of supra-regional sectors and prepares estimates related to state GDPs at current price. And it maintains liaison with international statistical organizations like United Nations Statistical Divisions, Economic and Social Commissions for Asia and Pacific. It compiles and releases the index of industrial production, and also it conducts annual survey for industries. It provides statistical information to access and evaluate the changes in the growth and composition and structure of the organized manufacturing sector. And it organizes and conducts an all India economic census and follow-up enterprise service. Right now the 7th all India economic survey is going on. The economic census has been finished, but the data have not been made public. This was questioned by Parliament before 2 days, which I have discussed in the previous current affairs sessions. Also, please go and have a look at it. And It provides an in-house facility to process the data collected through various socio-economic surveys and follow up enterprise of economic census. And it also releases grants to those NGOs and research institutions of repute for undertaking special duties or surveys, printing of statistical reports. And it finances seminars, workshops, and conferences related to subjects area of statistics. And it examines the surveys from technical angle. From the technical angle means the statistical angles. What we needed to study further is we should know about IIP index, which was released by NSO, and the GST data, and GST Council, and the GST data. What is the growth of GST from its introduction during that is from 2017 July 1st. And also we should know about the trade report of India. So these are all the other things which we needed to know. Niger Coup. Why Western have troops here? Right now we all know that Niger, a Western African country, is undergoing a coup because of misgovernance, poverty, and lack of economic opportunities for the youngsters. So, but Western ally, that is Western countries, were the key partner for the Niger country to fight the Islamist insurgency in the African Sahel region. But right now the coup is being conducted, and the coup has removed the president who is the ardent supporter of Western country. So Western country right now has stopped their aid which they have provided to fight the Islamist insurgency in the Niger country. And Niger has been also one of the important source for uranium. So let's know some fact about the Niger country. Niger is the landlocked country located in West Asia. It is bordered by 7 countries. They are Nigeria, Chad, Algeria, Libya, Benin, Burkina Faso, and Mali. And Niger gained independence from France on August 3, 1960. It is one of the earliest African nation to gain sovereignty from colonial rule. The capital of Niger is Niamey. The city is very important because most of the time UPSC is asking question related to the cities. They are giving the name of the city and the corresponding country, and they are asking match the following. So, which is also the largest city and serves as the political, economic, and cultural center of the country. And Niger is the predominantly covered by a Sahara Desert, and its landscape comprises a mix of desert, semi-arid region, and savannas. The Niger River is one of the country's major water source which flows through southwestern region. And Niger experiences a hot and arid climate because of the savanna type climate, with the temperature often reaching extreme high during the day. The country's climate is characterized by distinct wet and dry season. This is what the climatic condition as well as the border areas and the other geographical features of the Niger countries. And also we should know about the uranium. Uranium, it is a naturally occurring material which occurs in the lower concentration in the soil, rock, as well as water. Uranium has a silvery grey metallic appearances and is mainly used for nuclear power plants due to its unique nuclear property. And depleted uranium is also used as shield against radiation in medical processes using radiation therapy and also while transporting radioactive materials. So itself radioactive, uranium's high density makes it effective for halting radiation. Its high density also makes it useful as counterweights in aircraft and industrial machinery. So this is what the news is about. So what are all the other things which we needed to study is, we should know about World Nuclear Association. Second is, we should know about the nuclear reactors. And third is, we should know about Africa geography itself. Fourth is, we should know about the Sahel region, and which are all the country comes under the Sahel region. Why the region is particular region is named as Sahel region. These are all the things which we needed to know. Okay, let's discuss about the previous year prelims question which was asked in relation to the news that we have discussed in the previous slides. First is, there has been a persistent deficient budget year after year. Which of the following actions can be taken by the government to reduce deficit? Reducing revenue expenditure, yes. By the revenue expenditure, if a government is doing revenue expenditure, means there won't be any kind of return. In the case of capital expenditure, means there will be a kind of return like intermittent interest payment, or there will be a return in the case of capital expenditure, as I said, because like intermittent interest payment. And in the case of revenue expenditure, there won't be any kind of returns. So by reducing the revenue expenditure and by increasing the capital expenditure, we could able to reduce the deficit budget. Second is increasing the new welfare scheme. The welfare scheme most of the times will be of revenue expenditure only. So by increasing the welfare scheme means there will be more expenditure will be done by the government, and the more expenditure will lead to more deficit. And more expenditure without any return means it will be leading to more deficit. So the statement 2 is wrong. Third is rationalization of subsidy. Yes, by rationalizing subsidy, we could able to save lot amount of money which could be useful for spending in the other capital requirement. Fourth is by reducing import duty. Import duties is one of the major source of revenue for government of India. By reducing this import duty means there will be dearth of revenue for government. So by reducing import duty means it will be increasing the deficit budget only. So statement 4 is also wrong. Answer is 1 and 3. A. The crops in a subtropical in nature. A hard frost is injurious to it. It requires at least 2 to 10 frost-free days and 50 to 100 centimeter of rainfall for its growth. A light, well-drained soil capable of retaining moisture is ideally suited for the cultivation of the crop. Which one of the following is the crop? The answer is option A, cotton. The statement was cut and copied from the NCERT. So it is very important for us to learn the NCERTs. Let's discuss about the UPSC mains question. Discuss India's achievement in the field of space science and technology. How the application of this technology helped India in its socio-economic development. 250 words. I want those students, those who are seeing the current affairs session online, please do comment answer point for this question, so that we could able to know the viewpoint of different students, and there will be enriching of views could take place, as a result of which we could able to grow as a whole. So please do comment the answer points for this question. So thank you students, please do subscribe, comment, like, and subscribe along with hitting the bell icon, so that you will be receiving the daily current affairs videos and any other important videos that will be brought to you in the near future by the Ganesh IAS Academy.